Hello people, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we have been doing a lot of Villa content over the last few days, so I'm continuing with it. How to start a career mode in a realistic manner with Unai Emery and Aston Villa. Of course, if you do enjoy this video and you'd like to see more content like this, maybe we can do a Manchester City, maybe we can do a Liverpool. Of course, I do deep dives and I do a bit of research in some of the transfer targets and some of the scouting networks that they set up, and I try and, bring it to the game so that you guys can try and replicate it in your games. So, if you do enjoy this video, like I say, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's hop on straight into the video. So with the realistic career mode, you would need realistic tactics, and we have created those on the channel, so if you haven't seen them, go check them out. I will link some of it at the end of this video, but of course it is in the Premier League playlist. We've gone ahead, we've created the 4-4-1-1 system that they have recently used against the likes of Arsenal, Manchester City. We also have gone with their more traditional 4-4-2 formation that we have replicated before, as well as their new addition, the back five system that they have somewhat reverts to throughout the course of various games. So if you would like to see those, please, they are on the channel. Have a look, hit the like button for those videos as well as this one, and of course if you are new, subscribe. But of course you need the personnel to go with it. So having a look at the playing squad, it's, you know what, Emery has done a very good job with what he's had. He's made very far and few additions, and we will go over potential signings that have been linked with Aston Villa and might potentially make their way to Aston Villa in the future. But again, there hasn't really been like, crazy amounts. Emery hasn't really come into the squad and been like, okay, I need this player, I need that player. He's come in and he's made additions to it. Of course, the likes of Pau Torres, Moussa Diaby, Alex Moreno, of course, a very, you can see the pattern here. It's players that he's more or less played with in previous teams, or he's, managed at some point in his career. Of course, the likes of Moussa Diaby, I think that was a more of a board signing. They were like, you know what, he fits the system, he fits what the likes of Emery wants, so let's go and get him. And I think he has hit the ground running. Emery has gotten the absolute best out of him, and as you can see there, he can play as a right mid, a striker, as well as a centre forward, fitting into the mold of that front two at times, or sometimes playing on the right-hand side. But yes, it's not the best playing squad. I mean, we're very short up front here with the striker department, so maybe having a look for another striker would be good. But I would also say selling certain players, the likes of Bertrand Traore, he is apparently linked with a move away, which is good, I suppose. If he doesn't really fit the system or the squad, it's time for him to move on. So I would suggest you put him on the transfer list with some of these young guys as well. Maybe loaning them out would be a bit better to try and obviously get the developments out of them. And then I would just like to talk about Jacob Ramsey. Now, of course, he can play as a right mid, a left mid, as well as a central midfielder. And I do see the likes of Emery shifting him more centrally at times. So I would suggest you make him into a central midfielder. Of course, it does take around 36 weeks to go with. So get on that the minute you start your career mode. And try and get him into the central areas of the pitch, as well as Douglas Luiz. Of course, he is set to a DM, and he does take up that DM position when you play the 4-4-2 formation. But again, changing him into that central midfielder probably best suits him and his attributes going forward. So again, I haven't actually done it for this, but a suggestion would probably be central midfielder. It only takes around 25 to 20 weeks to do. So again, you'd be making your midfield a bit stronger with that change, or those changes. And then just having a look at the backline, the likes of Howes, he needs to probably be sold. The likes of Feeney could probably go on the transfer list. But yeah, I think they have a fairly strong, set of players. But again, you can definitely add to them. And with that, you can definitely add to the squad. Of course, the likes of Nico Williams, recently linked with the move to Aston Villa. He has been, leaving hints here and there. I think he said in the press the other day, he was like, the club knows what I want, I know what I want, and we'll just have to see. So he has been linked with a move to Aston Villa, and like I said earlier, Unai Emery, he has made, a few Spanish signings, likes of Alex Moreno and Pau Torres to go with it. So I think it makes a lot of sense as well. Nico Williams, bring him in potentially. He's a young 20-year-old winger that can play on either flank, and I think that suits what Emery is looking for. Another player I was very shocked to see that was linked was Pedro Goncalves. Now, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but he absolutely is one of my favorite players to watch. He scored a fantastic goal against Arsenal in the Europa League last season from halfway. I'm pretty sure it was him. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Also linked with the move, and you will see here that there are quite a few left midfielders or left wingers that are linked with a move to Aston Villa. And now that leads me to believe that Emery is definitely looking to try and shore up that left-hand side. Of course, we see the likes of John McGinn playing there in certain moments, but of course, he's not a natural fit to that position. So definitely bringing in a midfielder on that left-hand side is essential. I mean, they were linked with a move for Emile Smith-Rowe a few seasons ago, so I've added him to the list, of course, bringing in another Englishman. And then one that does fascinate me, he can also play more century, doesn't have a real face though, which is a bit of an annoyance, but Actor Koglu, he has done fantastically well every time he's played against Man United this season. So again, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these signings. Of course, I think Nico Williams is the pick of the bunch, but nonetheless, I think, you know, it's fairly... I don't think you can go wrong with any of them, to be honest. And then moving on though to the right wing back position, Molina from Atletico Madrid also linked with a move to Aston Villa, and it makes a lot of sense for me because obviously they have Matty Cash there. They are currently using Konsa there as well as that backup auxiliary right back, but of course he's not naturally fitted to that right back role, although he has seamlessly done a very good job in that. But I think Emery wants a bit more of a bombing on right back in certain moments, which is why Matty Cash is so good for the system, but he's not the guy who's going to take them up to the next level. So Molina, I think, could definitely be that. He is Argentinian, would fit in quite well in the dressing room, in my opinion. Of course, we're talking about a realistic move here. He's 25, at the peak of his powers, entering his peak as well. So I think you can't go wrong with that. And then finally, you know, you've also got the likes of Arno Martinez, linked with flipping anybody and everybody. I mean, linked with a move to Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, but also Aston Villa. And it wouldn't surprise me if they went to the likes of Girona and said, here's 50 million, we want this guy. And obviously he is 20, has a lot of good attributes, can play as a centre-back, can play in a back three, very much suits the systems that Emery is looking to implement. So, like I say, if you're playing that back three system, he can play on the right side of it. If you're playing a back four system, naturally a very fundamentally structured young player that can definitely fit into that system as well. And then, obviously, we were talking about the midfield with the likes of Jacob Ramsey fitting in there. Maybe linked with a move away, Douglas Luiz. Maybe the likes of Baena or potentially Carlos Soler could be the natural replacement for the likes of Douglas Luiz if he does get his move to Arsenal, or potentially linked with a move back to Manchester City. He is having a fantastic season, so you do want to try and replace him. And again, the Spanish internationals of Baena as well as Soler, they could definitely make a good impact on a very good squad as is. Now, going to the scouting system and scouting the youth of tomorrow, I've gone with obviously the England approach. Looking to send a scout to England is essential, having that, you know, homegrown talent, as well as the Republic of Ireland. Of course, they do have quite a few young players that are from that region. And then the third scout, I would say it's up to you. Honestly, I would, but because of the Emery Spain link, I would probably suggest sending a scout to Spain, potentially trying to scoop up some of that young talent before the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and so on, try and get to them first. Having a good scouting system is essential, especially for an up-and-coming club like Aston Villa. Of course, they are a massive club, massive heritage, but again, they're building back to that. They're not at that level just yet, and obviously, they're having a fantastic season. Emery is doing incredibly well. But it's not a sustainable thing if they don't have the building blocks for tomorrow as well. So the youth system and the youth scouting for this career mode that you're looking to have is very, very essential. So with any career mode, you are going to be concerned with money and what you can and can't spend. And to start off your career mode, before any sales or anything like that, you start off with 73 million, which is a hefty amount of money. You can definitely do a lot of damage with it in the transfer window. And again, you don't really need to do too much, especially in your first season with it, because you've brought in the likes of Moussa Diaby, you've brought in the likes of Pau Torres, who have solidified your offensive outlets as well as your defensive structure. But again, there are one or two additions that you can make. The right-hand side, at that right-back position, a backup potentially for Matty Cash, or maybe even a starter, as well as the left-hand side on that left midfield position. You can definitely look to try and bring somebody in with that. But 73 million is no slouch of an amount. It's definitely something that you can use. Now, moving on to the tactical vision that you would obviously look to try and set up in the beginning of your career mode. I've gone with gegenpressing. I don't think you can go wrong between gegenpressing as well as counter-attacking, because in the beginning of the season, they were looking to be a bit more of a soak up the pressure team and then counter on the break with your pacey players up front with Watkins and Diaby. But I think as confidence has grown, Emery has evolved his system and his style of play to be a bit more aggressive, more on the front foot, which is why I think gegenpressing at this current moment in time of recording this video I think gegenpressing best suits what Aston Villa are trying to do on the field. I'll always say this, but for the size of Aston Villa, you don't really want to stoop too low with your well, not manager, but your coach ratings. That's the word. So more times than not, obviously we are going with a gegenpressing system. Let me try and find it. So we are going with a gegenpressing system. If there are any managers or coaches, my bad. There are currently no coaches. Lovely. But I normally try and keep it to around 4 stars. You will see that I have included a 3-star coach for this, with the likes of Jeffrey coming in. You're very lucky, Jeffrey. But of course, we are, as you can see, the market is very short with coaches that have the ability to coach a gegenpressing style of play. But I normally try and go with around 4 stars. That obviously depends on the club. Obviously, if you have a League One club, feel free, go with your 3 stars, 2 stars, and 1 star. But for the size of a club like Aston Villa, Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, and so on, I think you need the best of the best. So rather just be patient with it, wait for the better coaches to arrive, and then hire them. And then just to end things off here, we'll go through like some of the objectives and whatnot. I will say, it is imperative that you try and your absolute damnedest in the first season to win the Europa Conference League. It's something that I believe, and a lot of people actually believe, that Emery will look to try and do in real life. Winning that would almost elevate his status in European football. I mean, he has won the Europa League so many damn times, it's unbelievable. So a lot of people think that, you know, Villa are probably the favourites, they're probably going to win it. And the way that they're playing at the moment, I see that happening. So I think pushing for that in Europe would be good, as well as obviously trying to finish in the top 6. I mean, at the moment, it's a Premier League title that they're going for, but probably top 6 is more or less where I think that they will finish at the end of the season. Obviously, I'm really hoping that Villa can beat the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City to the title. That would be damn near fantastic. But, you know, sometimes things balance themselves out. For the brand exposure, they're expecting quite a bit here. Signing one player of the same nationality, and maybe the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe coming into your side, that will obviously be able to check that objective. But again, with the career modes, they do tend to try and jumble these things up, but it is important that you try your best to try and do something. And I do think that this season Aston Villa will potentially win silverware, whether that's the Conference League, whether that's an FA Cup. I think they'll do something of note, and it'll really open a lot of people's eyes to how good Emery and Aston Villa really and truly are. So, if you guys have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. Let me know down below who you would like to maybe see me do next. I don't know, it's a new style of video, so I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are too. And until the next time, I hope you guys have a damn great day. I'm out.